Okay.
Now.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the continuation of our Lenten studies. How about we begin with a prayer? Loving God, God of new beginnings, God of hope, God of love. We thank you for bringing us together. We ask that you bless our time together and allow your scriptures, your word, to continue to give new meaning to each of us. May you continue to speak within each of our lives. Amen. What I'd like to look at today is the first reading from this past Sunday's worship service or liturgy. It was a reading from the prophet Isaiah. Now, we have already looked at parts of Isaiah because Isaiah is used a number of times during the Lenten season. Rather than looking at any of the historical or literary construction of Isaiah, I'd like to look at more of how Isaiah is actually able to speak to each of us today. Just to review for a moment or two, the reading for Sunday was actually rather short, but incredibly descriptive. Isaiah was describing how God is creating a new order, a new world, a new environment. He described how the deserts would be flowing with water, how everything would give praise to God, how there would be new growth emerging, how the environment would be overflowing with abundance. Now, Isaiah was writing to a people that were in need of hope. The Hebrew people were in captivity in Babylon and returning from captivity, and the world that they knew had basically been destroyed. And Isaiah is painting this beautiful picture of a new creation, how God is creating all things new. And the question that I propose to each of us today is, how is God creating new life, new things within each one of us? The Lenten season that we are in is a season of transformation and growth, a season in which we further attempt to develop our relationship with the all-loving God. And God continues to nurture and bring forth newness within each of our lives. It becomes our responsibility to be able to be open to those possibilities, to be open to the new that God is creating. How then has God been working within each of our lives in this Lenten season? How have we been open to the new possibilities that God is presenting? It can very much be a challenge, just as living through the pandemic, just as living through life itself can be a challenge. See, human beings are actually creatures that really don't like change. We don't like very much to change how we do things or how we think about things or how we interact with the world around us. And yet change is a very important part of how we live as human creatures. Each and every day, we're in actuality changing. And within our spiritual life, it also becomes the same change. If we simply remain stagnant and not changing in our relationship with God, then we're really not growing as people of God. We're not really growing as followers of Christ. And Lent presents to us those opportunities for new growth, for new beginning. Now, even though we are in the 5th week of Lent, and even though this Sunday, the 10th of April, we begin Holy Week and the celebration of Palm Sunday, it's still not too late. And that was part of the message that Isaiah was giving to the Hebrew people. And that's the message that I believe Isaiah is still giving to each one of us today. It's never too late. We always have the opportunity to grow as a child of God. We always have the opportunity to enter into the new creation that God is creating within each one of us. It might be challenging. It might be frightening. At times it may even be scary or overwhelming. But know, just as Isaiah knew, God walks with us, and God is with us, and God gently guides us into the possibilities of these new creations, guiding us into new possibilities of living as a person created in the image and the likeness of the all-loving God. So even though it may appear as if Lent is well done and it's really not worth the effort to continue our Lenten practices, I would suggest that we really do. Because each and every day, each and every hour, each and every moment, we have the opportunities to be open to those new creations that God is creating within us. Just think if we use some of the descriptors from Isaiah's passage, that we would be a new creation that is overflowing with abundant water, that we are a new creation in which there is peace and harmony, that we are a new creation in which God's wondrous love is able to come alive within each of us. God is constantly recreating. God is constantly at work within each of us. And God invites each of us to embrace the change, to embrace the opportunity, to look at new ways of living, new ways of being a follower of Jesus, to be basically a new creation in God. I hope today's session has been beneficial for each of you, and I hope you continue to join us. We'll continue our weekly reflections all the way through the Easter season and finish up right before Pentecost on, I believe it's Wednesday, June 1st. So hopefully we'll see you next week and you'll join us once again. Have a great day. God bless. Bye-bye.